motion today states that all African countries should join and make the United States of Africa. Africa, according to geography, is the second largest continent in the world with a whopping 33.2 million kilometers squared, making governance an even bigger challenge than it is in our own individual countries. If Kenya itself cannot handle the economical impact, the economical disputes that's going on in the political world, do you think we can handle it with 54 countries, each independent? Africa is very dense, with a population of 1.2 billion people in a vast, steady increased population. It is the population with the largest, it is the continent with the largest increasing population in the world. And you think you can contain all these people in a single country and make each and every single one of them have these resources? You can make each and every single one of them have enough education, job opportunities. It just can't happen. It will bring confusion in the education systems. Will we say that continent is a country or a continent? Which education system will we adapt? Will we adapt to CBC? Will we adapt to the international education systems? Which one will we choose? What will our children go for? If it takes 7 years to adapt to CBC and yet we are still moving, do you think we can take on all these others? I think not.
On to my first point, cultural exchange. Increased interaction of different cultures can lead to a multitude of opportunities, creating a better economy. The first start I'd like to give you, it could increase Africa's income up to 450 billion by 2035, according to the IMF. My second stat I'd like to give you, African trade would go up by 52.3% by 2025, according to the UN. It has potential to lift 30 million Africans out of extreme poverty, according to Yale University's research. Now, from those points I've just stated to you, ladies and gentlemen, why does it sound like a bad idea? It sounds amazing for economy. It sounds amazing on the social aspect. Now, on to the political aspect. I know Africa has 54 countries, but let's embrace the idea of Pan-Africanism. There's so many leaders who have fought for their countries aiming for the goal of Pan-Africanism that we just do not take account. A united Africa would be less dependent on Westernly powers. Now, what do I mean by this? I can give you a real-life example. Like right now, the most current president of the US, Donald J. Trump, he's just made a cut to African finances of safety and defense. You know why? This is to make Africa more self-independent. He can see the vision. Why can't we Africans see the vision?
I really adore a man called Mahatma Gandhi, for truly he said, an eye for an eye truly ends up making the whole world blind. I, Precious Gatune, stands here from the opposition side to have the audacity to oppose the motion that states that all African countries should join and form the United States of Africa. My first point, language barrier. Malema proposed Swahili as the ideal language for United Africa, considering it is the most widely spoken language. But it has only 140 million speakers in the whole of Africa, which cannot be compared to the 1.2 billion speakers we have in the whole of Africa. This is less than 15% of that number. The adoption of such a language will require an extraordinary amount of effort, especially funding. For truly, when you say that we should join this African country, you mean we should have at least one language for how will I be able to understand what the other person is saying? Imposing an alien language on a group is an attempt to erase the identity. As we all know, we all live in a multicultural diversity. Africa has over 2,000 languages spoken. Why bring one when we have over 2,000 languages? Africans are historically autonomous. One of the incoherent assumptions of this school is that colonialism brought different tribes together. And as I conclude, I really want to tell you that this side of the motion is truly where we speak truth, facts, statistics, and logistics.
A united Africa with its population of 1 billion people has the potential to drive large-scale production with a purchasing power of $1.5 trillion, which would put it in 11th place ahead of major economies such as France and India. Africa's fragmented state puts it at the mercy of industrialized nations like China and US, which flood us with goods which are mostly of questionable quality, and they can manipulate the rule of economies of scale. Now, what is economies of scale? Economies of scale is where if you produce a large amount of things, it's cheaper per unit to produce. That's why Africa is the best place for these industrialized countries to take their goods.
Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift, and that's why it's called the present. My first point is about conflict. If Kenya on its own can't even agree on who to be president without making stupid and pointless jokes on the internet, how will the whole of Africa agree on who to be the overall leader? When the elections will come around, this thing will all become one-sided. The marginalized leaders, the poor ones will be forgotten, but the rich and the well-known will conquer. Is this fair? No. Equality will soon be forgotten. And have you even considered our children, for heaven's sake? We all saw the deadly, disgusting, and traumatizing events that unfolded after the 2008 elections. Do you want this to happen again? But now, in all the 54 countries, this is truly absurd. Our children will die painful deaths without achieving their dreams. And history will only repeat itself. Let's learn from our past errors and not think of uniting as one and thinking all our problems will magically disappear. Competency-based curriculum, CBC, the new learning experience that we were drastically forced to adapt to. This was quite a while ago, but surprise, surprise, people are still complaining. People are still adjusting. 7 whole years. Parents are still struggling and students are still not adopting CBC. Isn't this enough time? It is funny and hilarious to think that you can simply decide on what curriculum to follow. Kenya will honestly drive the idea of CBC, South Africa its own. But which one is the best? Which one is cheaper? Which one is the most effective?
Try and flesh out, as she said, try and flesh out your points. It's one thing to say a point, but it's another thing to fully expound on what you're saying. Try and show me through the statistics that you have, this is the best way Africa is gonna be better if we come as a whole, a collective. And also for the first speakers, just try and paint a clearer picture. You guys did a good job. I have to commend you on that. But just try and put a little bit more effort in terms of painting a clearer picture of what does Africa look like? What does Africa look like right now? And what will Africa look like if we implement the motion?